Welcome back to our channel, my dear family and friends. I think we're up for an interesting adventure tonight. A story, a thought flashed across my mind just a few seconds ago, and I think it's really worth sharing. Years ago, let me get onto the chat. Years and years ago, when I was maybe nine or so, 9, 10, around there, I had a friend, and we I was over. I think there was a snow day. There's a snow day at school, which was like liberation day for us in because in the district, in the school district I was in. Hey, Benjamin. In the school, that's a great name, by the way. Uh, in the school district I was in, they hardly ever called snow days, but we actually had a snow day this one time, and I don't know if I don't know how I got to his house, but I went to. I never catch you live. That's great, Jane. Yeah, because I broadcast all different times, and I'm not reliable. But it seems like my YouTube channel is being considered for monetization. I mean, things are going in a good way. I anyway, I'll get to that later. But I just want to tell the story because last night's video really affected me, and really, and I since then I talked to my friend Pegs, who is gosh, I forget what her handle is here. Oh yeah, and somebody wrote me a Gmail saying that they wanted me to reinstate them on Rumble. Just send me your just send me what name you use on Rumble so I can reinstate you. But I want to tell the story. I've told this story before, but I think it's worth revisiting. And, when in my consciousness, in my thought stream, when I get a flash, you go way back, Cabal Guru. Yeah, cool, man. It's great to see you. I mean, I'm so happy that we're able to share information and not it's getting less and anyway. Last night was a revelation to me because I'm so sick of the news. I just can't bear it anymore. I'm even sick of the financial news of waiting for XRP to go to the moon and silver and gold and all that. I'm going to get into that a little bit, but this story flashed into my mind, and it did for a reason, and it flashed in after last night because last night we didn't even attempt to do any news. I was tired last night. Yeah, we had a long day. We had a long day today. We put in what, we put in two windows today, Daniela and I. It was really it was a lot of work, but we got two windows in, somewhat. They have to be finished and all that. But last night was like a liberating event for me because you and I, me and the community decided like it was okay just to chill and just talk about things. Like we don't really have I don't have friendships where I sit around and talk to people. I wouldn't last 5 minutes in that kind of a situation. But if we're talking about things that are productive, that are essential, that you can't really get anywhere else, and that's what this community is all about. So it really opened my mind up to the possibilities that you and I could develop in the near future. And what and then and this is how like my mind works. It's like then I got this flash of the story of hanging out with David, my friend David W, on a snow day in Scarsdale, right? So this is how like when my mind works. Like if I see somebody in the supermarket, I'll suddenly get a flash of somebody else, and that will show me that will tell me that I can relate to this person. In my mind, I think of it as okay, that's this archetype of personalities, or it could be the old person himself in another body, or a fragment of that person. But last night we broke the mold. And last night we really started just like hanging out. I relaxed a little bit. I'm a little bit, I'm a tense dude. I mean, naturally, it's my nature. but we relaxed and we just like hung out and we shared information. And Peggy said that her sister, who doesn't listen to the show regularly, heard it and she says, wow, this is interesting information. So it reminded me of this story of David and I on the snow day. We were young boys. We were we were out in the snow all day long, creating stories, creating adventures in our mind. I don't remember the exact adventures, but I just remember. Okay, we were fighting here, we were fighting the enemy here, and then we were, it was just, how kids can play. They can shape reality. They can create reality with narratives. I remember when I was a kid, just having having this like fantasy world with a friend. If two people, but anyway, I think that's what I felt in retrospect of looking at last night was like hanging out with David on the snow day, creating our own world. And that's really what we're doing here. We are creating our own world and there are infinite ways that we can handle this. And we don't have to handle it as, I've been sort of like, doing this like news thing. There's no news anymore. That we are the news. We have become the news. So it's okay, but the odd thing is that I met years later, I met David. I only saw him one time after that. And he turned into like he was a little when he was a kid, he was overweight. He was like a baseball kind of like a baseball nerd, and his parents were kind of like from the Bronx. They were kind of like they were, he was a real and when I met him subsequently, I met him a few years ago. He was like not he was not the chubby guy. He was like this handsome, tall, polished legal law. He became a lawyer, and I asked him, I said, do you remember that day we spent on that snow day? And he says, no, I don't remember that. And it just crushed me that, but that's the way personalities evolve. He evolved out of this kind of just just I mean, he was just like a character. He was a real character, not like, not like a wisecracker or anything, but he was a very unique kind of chubby dude, man, when he was a kid. And then he turned into this polished lawyer and he couldn't remember being a child anymore. I'm like, but it reminded me of last night, because last night we hit on all kinds of different subjects. And I think that's really probably the future of this channel. So with that said, let me just say hello to everybody. You go way back to everybody. Yeah, I'm so glad you still exist. Me too. Thank you, pure Gasu. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I mean, let's see. Does this go up? So, hey, Irish Wicks. Yeah, I had a conversation with Peggy today, and Peggy was just like, what you did last night was cool. It's okay not to like. I mean, the news is there's no news. There's no real news. I mean, I put out a chemtrail video this morning because the parasites are putting out chemtrails again, and then they're saying tomorrow's going to be a cloudy day. I'm like, gee, how do they know? How do they know tomorrow's going to be a cloudy day? Well, the day before they seed the sky with their obnoxious chemicals. But I mean, the good news is they're not painting the whole sky because they know. I think they know I'm watching them, and I see for hundreds of miles from my house. So they don't do it in the open anymore. They do it kind of in the back, behind the mountains, towards Sedona, I think. I don't know. I don't know how this is all going down, but they're not out of power yet. In other words, they still have some juice left to them. These evil creepazoid rhinos and Democrats and all these fakers, and they're really it's really organized crime. It's the mafia. The world is being run by this political mafia who are basically Satanist, who are basically, you know, will think of not they don't it doesn't trouble them to kill a couple of million people or whatever. You know, it's like, hey man, you know, had a bad day. That's um but just turned 36 years old and I still learn new things about myself. Yeah, I think so. That's great, Pappy Two Bear. Yeah, I'm 70 and I'm almost 70. I'll be 71 in a couple months. But I'm out there building with Daniela. I mean, granted, I'm not the graceful, you know, deer that I used to be. I mean, balancing on one leg, but I still managed to get things done and without, please God, hurting myself. And Danielle is, you know, she's a great help. She's like, you know, you got to put the ladder up straight. You know, I mean, she's just like boots on the ground, man. That girl. And we're okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I noticed when I was in Kansas last week, these chemical trails started before daylight. Yeah, they do it all night. They do it all night. They think we don't notice. We're stupid, right? We're humans. We're stupid. We don't notice what they're doing in the sky. Quantum mechanics. We are watching them, right? Yeah, that's a very good point, Trinity, because we have the power. Our thoughts matter. People are noticing more and more since we started noticing. I remember somebody telling me about chemtrails. A guy who was very disagreeable, eventually just really gave me a hard time. But about maybe 5, 6 years ago, he started telling me about the chemtrails, and I was just like, "What? What's that?" You know. And I started looking up, and once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. World population is 1 billion or less. Yeah, I think there's a lot less people now. I think there's a lot less people. I agree with that. But here's this is what Danielle doesn't wash dishes. Right? Well, I do a lot of the dishes here anyway. So I've really taken my. Well, anyway, I don't want to go into the past, but I do most of the cooking, and but she does a lot of the cleaning. That's because I cook out on the campfire most of the time. Rick Brian's coffee, awesome coffee. We ran out of honey, so I'm you know I'm roughing it with maple syrup. I mean, you know. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. I remember the dishes. Yeah, it was. I was under fire, man. I was like, I was. That was for 25 years. I could do nothing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it. All right. So what I'm thinking is like this. I talked to uh, Ishmael Perez years ago. I haven't really talked to him in the last probably like 5. I can't keep track of time. I don't even know days of the week anymore. I'm just like completely oblivious to the whole nonsense of all this. I think it's besides the point. But I talked to Ishmael years ago, and I said to him, "What are the houses going to look like in the future?" And he said, "They'll look like whatever you want them to look like." I said, "No." I said, "Well, what style is going to be the prevailing style?" He said, "You'll be able to change it all the time. The houses will be alive. Like they talk about the spacecrafts that the advanced species, or even probably maybe they have the technology now that spacecrafts are basically organic entities that know you and respond to you. And so too your house will be able to morph into having different features." You remember that? Yeah, I was talking to Ishmael. It was a very nice conversation. I love him. I would love to talk to him again. I just maybe now that I'm on YouTube, hopefully to stay, things will. I'm more open to having guests and this kind of thing. I really want to open up the channel a bit to you guys. And if you have something you really want to share with the world, and you know think it's credible, and you're on the channel. You may not have a channel yourself, or if you want, and you want to come on to the you want to share stuff with me. I mean, you could come on as yeah, I'm just saying to anyone that you could come on, because I in the old days I was really pushing people to start their own channels. Now it's like you'll either do it or you won't, but it's still a very nice thing to do, to open your thoughts to others. So Ishmael and I were talking about housing. Now, why is that important? Because each soul has a different kind of structure, maybe, and different things that you desire. I have had the desire for years to live in a nice place, to live in a place that doesn't look like a slave hut, that isn't a square box with it, like everybody, and living in a neighborhood with lots of other square boxes. I literally, I could not, when Danielle and I were looking for a house, I could not bring myself to even entertain the thought of living in a kind of a compromised situation, like living in a regular house. It just it's just not for me anymore. I can't handle it. So you guys know the story. I'm sure everyone knows the story. I've been telling it for years. But we were looking for a house in Arizona because we wanted to change climates, and we and our friend Brian Best, the coffee, the spiritual being coffee, he said, come to Prescott, Arizona. He says, we got trees here. I didn't know anything. I know nothing about the West Coast. I mean, I'm not really a West Coast. I'm a New York boy. My parents are from New York. My grandparents are from New York. We've been in New York for a long time. So we were looking for a house on Zillow. And I was just like, it was just breaking my heart to see that the only kind of house I could even think about was over $1 million, and that was out of the question. And everything else, I would love to live. I've lived in the past in little bungalows, cute little bungalows. I don't mind that kind of thing. I don't have to have all the comforts of home, but what happened to us is that I saw this 170 acres in, I didn't understand. It didn't click with me that it was in the desert, or that it was in the mountains, or that there were zero flat places, or that most people would not even consider living in this place. And that's the good news. That goes with buying low and selling high, like XRP. When I bought XRP, it wasn't that expensive, or XLM. But here with the land too, the land in this area is not ridiculously priced. The cost of living around Kingman, Arizona, that's where I ended up, is not that bad. Now I wanted to live in Prescott, but we were talking a lot of money. And it was already developed, and cool people and people from California were already there. Kingman is like for retired military people. It's not cosmopolitan. It's very down home, and I like that. But the Corridor 11, which is going to be a major highway that's going to connect Mexico to Alaska, which is now 93. I live on the future Corridor 11. So it's developing. It's a developing place. So the thing that I wanted to share with folks is this idea. I'm building a house here. We are getting to a point where it's starting to really look like something. My house is based on whatever materials I can scrounge. right? It doesn't, I didn't say, well, I'm going to build a hempcrete house. I mean, that's what people say. Are you going to build I'm going to build this house. No, I was like, I'm going to build a house from materials that come my way. And I don't build anything until I have material. I I was framing windows. If you know anything about carpenter, I was framing windows with putting a 2x6 underneath, and all I had was 2x3s that I got half price at Home Depot. That's the only lumber I had was a couple of sticks that were warped enough to make them half price from Home Depot. So I was framing things with what I had, and it evolved. Now then I got all this dunnage. Now I have like a lumber yard sitting next to my house, but they're all curved and funky boards. So everything has to be, nothing is like, nothing is 100% level. It's always a little bit off because the board is like twisted, and I'm okay with that. But here's the main thing that I want to share. We live in a renovated barn, kind of like that. Is this: when you don't have inspectors, when you don't have contractors that have to follow the building codes, and I'm not building, I'm not building a match, a house of cards out here. I'm building a Taka house. It has a foundation. I don't have any concrete. I have just a tiny bit of concrete on my toilet, but I don't use concrete. I don't want even want to go there. I don't want concrete trucks won't come up here. But that's not what the main thing that I want to say is that. But the main thing I want to say is, if you don't have inspectors, if you don't have all these middlemen, if you don't have to pay top dollar for top materials, if you're willing to put in, like, I'm putting in spectacular windows. This is gonna be like, not one it's not gonna be 360, but it's gonna be like maybe 270 worth of window, because the front half is built like a ship, points into the wind and sun. So I don't want windows on that side. I want all the windows on the northern side, northern and, east and west, to some degree, but it's not square. So there are walls that are slightly angled. So I'm willing to put windows on them because they're not going to get the full brunt of the sun. The point is that if you don't if we didn't have all these parasites sucking the very blood out of sucking our money out. I was trying to get all these manufactured houses. They were for only 150,000, 200,000. I could have a perfectly round house, all engineered and perfectly safe, and no leaks, air leaks, that would withstand the kind of wind that we get up here. Minimum 200, 300. I mean, they were for tiny homes. I mean, you think you're going to get a tiny home for 30 grand, and it's going to be the same kind of, like Grant was saying, the same kind of really lousy materials that you don't want to be exposed to. Why would they put fiberglass insulation? Why would they put in sheetrock? Why would they put in all these things? Why would they put in up here? Because we don't have any moisture. Everyone's like, well, you're going to have your vapor barrier. No, I'm not going to have a vapor barrier. I want the house to breathe. The point is like this: if you don't have to bow down to all these blood sucking intermediaries, like with the insurance companies or the banks and all this other nonsense, you don't have to get a big mortgage. You don't have to, you can build the house of your dreams. And I was just thinking out loud that I would like to potentially have people come here and teach them some basic skills. How would I teach them? I wouldn't teach them like, let me show you how to frame. But by the way, what I'm calling my house is, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between kind of a Native American. This is just my own thinking, and I'm using cedar posts as and ponderosa pine half rounds as the foundation, and then I'm attaching regular lumber as curvy as it is to these posts, so I'm calling it like a hybrid structure. But the point is that anybody can do this. Yes, I'm a carpenter, I have carpentry skills, but you can the tools that are the way tools are made now, you don't need much. You need a chop saw, you need a skill saw, you need a good screwdriver or two or five, you need a drill driver. Everything is with screws now. That's what I'm building all, with screws, and we'll use lag bolts and through bolts, and I'm going to be using bolts. I did use bolts on the foundation, but the point is, you can build the house of your dreams, not a slave hut, not a cookie cutter house, but the house of your dreams for way under 100,000. I had to spend $10,000 just getting a flat place here, and I also had to spend another 30 or 40,000, which I haven't paid off yet. But I had to spend 30 or 40,000 dollars drilling a well. Right? Those are like basic costs. Probably if you were to live in a normal place, if you weren't in the middle of the mountains, you could get a drill built. I mean, there's a guy who's 1,000 feet less than me, says he gets 100 gallons a minute. He went like 15 feet down and he gets 100 gallons a minute. He's right. I mean, the point is, without all these middlemen in all these things, in car sales, in medicine, in education, we can do things for not much money. And not just things, but things that really appeal to you, really express your personality. Like, I'm just look at this. These are old pictures. I'm gonna update them now because we've gone quite a bit farther than this. But look at this thing. We're talking about these more the now I have real lumber. These are all throwaway sliding glass doors that nobody wants. I got them, most of them, for $50 a piece. Some of them were 25, and it's just, you can do this. You don't have to be a millionaire. In fact, probably millionaires could never do this, because but it doesn't take a genius. It just takes a couple of really good tools, and tools are cheap. I bought a really good chop saw for $350. It's rigid. It's called Rigid, and it's very accurate, much better than any of the chop saws I've ever had in my whole life. And I've had a few chop saws because I was a carpenter for 20 years. But you need a skill saw. You need some safety. You need to know the safety rules. You need to know that a skill saw is more dangerous than a chop saw because it can come back at you. You need to know that your box cutter sharpener is more dangerous than anyway. So I'm thinking loosely that maybe I would make a series on, but the thing is that building a house is a personal expression of yourself. So the house that you want might look very different from the house that I want. And the materials that come your way might be different from the materials that I'm used to scrounging materials because I was a contractor for 20 years. So I always have my eye out, get on, because when you're a contractor, you spend hours and hours at the lumber yard. I mean, this was in the old days when they had lumber yards. They still do, I guess. But out here we have sawmills, and it's just a different world. But the point is that you can start developing on that corridor, right? Trucker stops with Great Home. Cook, yeah, but that I would like to teach people how to do this. Maybe I'll make a video series. I've been working on, like, how do we awaken people? How do we become more conscious of our thoughts and our manifestations and this kind of thing. But how do you manifest a house? How do you manifest a house? And it's why wouldn't people want to live? I mean, it's such an important part of your life. I was thinking to myself, for example, like I traded all my gold and silver for this house, for this land. Would I do it differently? And I thought to myself, man, no way, no way. I mean, the land is more valuable than silver. There may be silver on the land. Once we get comfortable, I can start looking around at the rocks. But so we all had windows and no curtains, overlooking woods with a pond he dug himself. Yeah, I mean, it's just. I think it's ripe for doing, and the technology is there. When they come out with free energy things, it'll be even easier. You won't need solar panels, and you won't have problems when the creeps start messing up the sky with their chemtrails, and you can't use your solar panels for 20 grand in 1990. Right. I think it's but I think it's still doable. If you're clever about the materials, if you do it yourself, or you got a friend, or somebody who with a little bit of skill, you can really find your way out of the matrix. It's amazing. So that's my thought. And the thought that with with this channel, that we can go in any direction we want to. It's like David and I. We could be army guys one day, and then we're cowboys and Indians, or whatever it was. We were just like shifting from thing to thing. Spacemen, uh, kids are just so much fun. I just remember that I would look for certain friends that I knew could construct stories with me, and how much fun it was to meet them on the playground, and break. We forget what that's like, but we're just the same people that we were, and we still enjoy that, so we can build. I think the next phase of the Great Awakening is really about us building what we want, and doing it and not waiting for big bucks. I mean, I'm hoping to hear good news on Monday for my lawsuit that the Supreme Court is apparently taking it up on Friday. So maybe I'm hoping. I expect to hear good news. I expect to get money, but you know what? We are not dependent on their thought stream, on their creation, on their matrix. And once we get outside the matrix, we can build whatever we want. We don't need a certificate of occupancy for it to be legit. We don't need the insurance. We don't need the permits. We don't need any of that bullshit. That's just made up for them to make a lot of money, and to make sure you use materials which are probably designed to kill you. Oh yeah, I have to use the right kind of fiberglass insulation. It's ridiculous. So I wanted to express the idea that, yeah, my husband was a contractor too, and did stained glass. That's beautiful. Yeah, I've seen some gorgeous stained glass, but it's a hybrid. My house. It's basically based on whatever materials I can find at the time. So we, like today, we took apart the first window we put in. We bought a window for like $350 at Home Depot. That was the first and last window I will ever buy from Home Depot, because you don't need to buy new shit. 350 for this little window. I mean, it's operable, it's in good shape, but we deconstructed, because I framed it with basically nothing. I had nothing at the time. We had a few pieces of plywood, and we basically just cut through the plywood and mounted the window in. But now I properly framed it. Danielle and I properly framed it, and we put it in, and now we have to insulate. We have to do our version of insulation. I think we're just going to be using for the time being, we'll be using our throwaway clothes that are all ripped up, and we'll just stick them in the air holes. But eventually, we'll probably insulate with mud or you know mud and straw, and that kind of stuff. Um, Mine about 39 patches. Yeah, if you're in pain, yeah, thank you, Walter. I mean, that's what really, that's what kind of pivots on this whole thing, that we are. Let me put out the things. If you are in pain, they say, oh wait, they say that 4 out of 5 people experience severe pain on a daily basis. The ice wave patch is specifically designed for pain. It doesn't do anything else. So, but the X39 for me, Alavita, X49, glutathione, all these patches.
Dr. Stacy says that Eon and X39 with the for pain.
Okay, so Eon is for inflammation. If you call Dr. Stacy, tell her you're in pain and tell her you want some, she'll tell you could use Eon, which reduces inflammation, and X39, which stimulates stem cell production. So that's a very good basic combination for pain. But the product called Ice Wave, which I think is like $60. How much is the Ice Wave patches?
$69.95.
$69 for it's a 2-patch system, the Ice Waves. So if you're taking Tylenol, Tylenol is not is I don't want to say it, whatever. I mean, figure it out yourself. President Trump came out and talked about Tylenol. He talked about the vaccines. You could, this is obvious information. But if you experience pain, like around here certain times of the month, there could be some kind of like feelings of pain. The Ice Wave patch is designed for pain. There's a brown patch and a white patch. It's a 2-patch system. You actually get 60 patches, not 30. And let's say your wrists hurt, you would put the brown patch to the left and the right patch to the right. It doesn't really matter. You just space them out, right? And Dr. Stacy says pain is just blocked energy. So the Ice Wave patch specifically is designed for pain. I had, I used Alavita at the base of my spine, and that reduced my pain, and instantly. Grandma Linda talks about it, but it's an amazing technology. I think it's gonna change the world. If you're waiting for the med bed, God bless you. I just heard Gene. Gene, what's Gene's name?
Decode.
What?
Decode.
Say that again?
Decode.
Gene Decode said they can't release the med beds because the creepazoids can turn them into weapons. Thanks, Starfire. Yeah, by the way, if you're a real human, and I love to flirt. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's fine. I would never stray. I never actually do anything, but there's an energy. But anyway, but anyway, okay. So well, I was talking about what was I talking about? The X49, X39, the life way. Yeah. If you're in pain, in your medicine chest, you talk to Dr. Stacy and get some Ice Wave. But eat really long term. If you're suffering from a long term painful situation, like somebody reached out to me and said their knee was hurting, how long would it take for the pain to go away? You have sometimes, for me, it's instant with the patches, but it took me 2 years to really understand the power of the patches. I just was like, I wanted to be a little skeptical about it. But Eon and X39, if you're experiencing pain, and Tylenol, whatever. Anyway, so but I really, again, we really appreciate it. We're really growing, and I'm not ashamed to, like, to be, to be making a living. I mean, why should I be ashamed of it? I've been canceled by the best of them for the last 5 years. And so 2022, I lost my job. So that's like 4 years almost now. But my YouTube channel went at the same time. So I haven't really been able to make a living. I, we struggle, but, and we've learned that we don't, push comes to shove, we will get by. And I think that's really important. The sovereignty. I mean, health insurance, really? You can't spend like $99 a month on X39 to stimulate your stem cell production. What do you spend on health insurance? Well, I don't spend anything on health insurance. I don't have any health insurance. I should be getting health insurance from my previous employer, but I have to fill out so many forms. I just basically said, fuck it. I'm not doing it. I don't have the time. I don't have the mindset to shift through these forms because it's not that important to me to have insurance. You don't need it. The doctors have a separate price if you don't have insurance. I mean, why would you pay, like, $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month when you can get the same service for $100, $200? And that goes on all levels of our existence. They have squeezed the hell out of us, right? Everything is expensive now, and Trump is doing a great job, but he has no he's fighting man. He's fighting for us. He's like at the head slaying, fighting the dragons. For example, I want to play this. I'm sorry, I'm not really responding so much. Right. So Gene Decode said you're not going to get the med beds so fast. Because he said they're all underground, and they're going to have to continue to be underground because the creepazoids are going to make it into a weapon. These people haven't, this airy fairy bullshit thing that all the podcasts that even I was putting out, that it's going to be okay next Sunday. Everything, the dinar is going to go up and everything's going to be fine again. That's just total bullshit. The EBS is coming next Tuesday. I mean, I started blocking some of these guys that put out this message that everything's going to be good next Tuesday, that the RV's already happened, that the quantum financial system. It may be true, but at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with me. I have, I have to go buy groceries this week, right? I invest, we invest a lot of money in making sure we have meat that hasn't been injected, that's real meat. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, if you're in pain, the ice wave is really good, but long term, but the ice wave does not deal with the problem. And here's what's so great about ice wave, not about ice wave, about life wave, is that the X39, the X49, the glutathione patch, the SP6 for endocrine system deals with root problems. It's we're light beings, and it stimulates the light inside you on a cellular level to produce real healing. And there's all kinds of clinical evidence. This company's been in business for 20 years, but this is not the kind of thing you can advertise on TV and have everyone flock to. But Gene Decode said there's still a dangerous situation. He's saying, like, towards the end of next year, but it's going to be for the military and retired military, and who knows when we're going to get the med beds. But the creepazoids they're still there. I see the chemtrails. Daniela was saying, "Oh, it's the white hats." I'm like, it's not the white hats. The creepazoids still have power. Why is XRP still at $2? $2. It's because the creeps are still. Why is DJT, Donald J. The Trump stock at $10? It's not normal. This is because they can just print money. It's just a game to them. But we are taking back our world. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to happen next week? Is it going to happen January 1st? No. I can just say it like that. Not, I hope it does. It would be wonderful it did. I mean, like I said, Ariel said last January the dinar was going to be revaluated. And every day you got these guys saying that the dinar is about to get revaluated, blah, 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 blah. It's just bullshit. It will happen when it happens. It's none of our business. It's like we have to create a new world with what we have. That's why I put in these broken down windows with 2x3s. 2x3s are like nothing, they're like nothing because that's what I had. But that prime the pump. You use what you have until you can get better. We have some windows that we're going to replace when we have more money. Or as money comes in, we'll say, "Well, let's get a new window for over here because we don't like this window so much." But now we have an RV inside this basic octagonal structure with a big. It has like a little triangle off the northern side, like a almost like if it was a boat, it would be where the steering wheel, where the tiller is. But we've surrounded most of it now with glass. Some of it, like I said, we will change out. But now we know where to change it. We're gonna, there's a place in Phoenix you can go and buy a piece of glass for $25 that I bought this Anderson sliding glass door, which is 4x8 for $25, man. I mean, what else do you need? So we got this. So yeah, so you got the LifeWave, you got that, you got your. I'm not saying not to invest. But the ultimate investment for me, I have to admit, is land and a house and a well, because you can't live on a piece of silver. You can't live on a piece of XRP. It's nice to have them. I'm not trading in my XRP. I'm not, I wish I had more cash to buy more XRP, and maybe Monday, let's hope. You shouldn't say hope, but I expect on Monday to hear that I'm going to get all my back pay, and I'm going to get my pension's going to go up because I was forced to retire and I didn't want to. So, but would I buy more XRP? You bet. At $2, it's a bargain. Would I buy some more silver? I would. Would I buy a ton of copper if I had a bunch of money? You bet. I would buy maybe literally a ton of copper. I think a ton of copper is like I forget what it was. I think something like $1,000, or maybe it was $10,000. I'm not sure, but it's not a lot. A ton of copper. You want to own? Would that be something worth keeping? Having. I think so. Copper has healing properties. Imagine having 100 pounds of copper in your house. I mean, you could put it in your garden. I put copper in my garden to help the plants grow. We're coming into a new world. There's no question about it. But it is not. It is not in my opinion, it is not the quick fix. It is not about, and is not about these news stories. These news stories are just distractions for the normies. It's about us ascending into, like playing with David. It's about having fun with life, creating a story that really floats your boat, whether you're 75 or 7. Right? You can create. We are the news. So yeah, vax to children, allergy to peanuts. Right. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Hey Richard, what's going on, brother? You're the best, man. I've said numerous times, but Richard sustained me. You know, when I was first canceled, I was like a fish out of water. I did not know what to do. I wasn't making money on my platform. I lost my job. I was on all kinds of FBI lists probably, and I couldn't get a job. Not that I wanted one, but and Richard really helped us out. You'll need Scrooge McDuck's money bin for that copper, right? Yeah, but think about it. I mean, you don't have to buy silver. Silver's expensive now. I would like to, I wish I had the silver that I sold, but you know what? I got land. I bought land with that silver. I bought trucks and things that I really need to survive up here, and solar panels. So, um, but yeah, I would like to either do it online or do it here in this place, that we could have people come and that want to learn how to use tools. I took a course. I got a degree from in creative writing from Columbia. Okay, a person I was like sort of living with said, "Go take a course at BOCES." BOCES is like for people beneath the great Columbia was useless. I went to BOCES. I took a couple of courses in carpentry. I learned how to use a skill saw. I mean, I didn't really know until you really use these tools a lot. You don't really know how to use them. Like when you have a skill saw kick back at you a few times, you learn to respect these tools. You learn to set up everything so it's safe. These are the kinds of things I would love to share with people. And I'm sure there are all kinds of ways to learn this, but it is not rocket science. You don't have to, you like to be a doctor. To be a doctor, you got to go through all this experience, all this education, all that, and it's bullshit. It has nothing to do with medicine. Even they even admit that. It has nothing to do with your actual practice. Nothing. My doctor is my friend Norman. My friend Norman, he's just like he's a real doctor. He checks out. He's into glutathione right now. He's like a natural doctor, and he talks to Danielle and I, and we kick over ideas. We're into all kinds of weird stuff. Somebody sent me a video about growing a moringa tree. Why not? All these things are now open from Kentucky. Yeah. Community colleges can be useful. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. But the trades are really undervalued. Like the butcher where I go. His friend, his name is Michael. He's like this handsome dude from California, right? And he drives up in a Corvette. He sliced my turkey in like he cut up a whole turkey into pieces in like 5 minutes. I'm like, Michael, who does that? And he says, I've been doing this a long time. But he makes a lot of money doing what he does, obviously. I mean, I'm just saying that you don't have to be a doctor or lawyer. You don't want to be a doctor or lawyer because they're going to be out of work soon. The whole legal system according to Gisara, is going to have to be revamped. Auto shop repair, right? That's it, right. Auto shop repair, exactly. Um, all these things that we look down. Oh, I went to Columbia. It's like I hated Columbia. I thought the people that I went to, my classmates, were a bunch of nitwits. When I went to BOCES, I met some real people. They were like, hey man, let me show you how to make a rafter. I was like, wow, this young guy who the world thinks is useless, can build a house. The world is upside down. We live in a bizarro world, and we're taking back the world. They say 100 and just buy another auto, right? Now they say go 100K and just buy another auto. Yeah, beekeeping. We want to keep bees up here. I mean, we have all these plans. Right now we just have to focus on getting the house done. Was pushing technical colleges. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, right? I mean, I I dropped out of college numerous times. I wasn't, it took me many years. I think I forget how many years. I used to know how many years, but it took me a long time to graduate from college. I was not young when I graduated. I guess I was, I wasn't that old. I was like 26. I think I was 26 when was it? No, older, more like 28, whatever. What, it took me a long time. I kept dropping out. I kept saying, what am I doing here? Who are these people? What does this mean? You know, and I'm very distractible. So, I was in rock bands then, and it's just, I couldn't, and I was doing, substances and stuff, and I was whacked. But I was trying the best I could, given, I just I had no real mentors. I had nobody to, like, sometimes you just need somebody to sit down with you and say, hey, whatever. I mean, eventually had a therapist who sat me down and he said, you need to just chill, man. You need to, like, you're causing your own problems, and it's just too much. You're living it. I live in my brain. It's hard for me to connect to my physical existence. But that's why carpentry is such a pleasurable experience for me, because it's kind of like I'm out of my normal state of being. I'm not thinking about ideas. I'm like, actually, like, well, let's think about how we're going to put this together. The board's crooked this way. Let's push it that way. Let's nail it here. It's a lot of fun. Depopulation would, yeah. Fewer need, everybody useful. Yeah, everyone's going to have to be useful. You need masculine orientation, true north. Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I can say that. I mean, I guess, Yeshua is a good example, at least the way they report that he is or was. But I I I'm kind of like Siddhartha. I'm kind of like beyond teachers. I don't really, I don't crave teachers anymore. I just want to help folks and live a great life. And Danielle and I are really having a good time. It's really pleasant to live in the middle of nowhere, with a bunch of wood and windows and the material, and a nice I have a 20-foot trailer now, Richard, that my friend mm, mm, mhm, mm, who's my carpenter friend? Sam sold me his trailer. It's a beauty, and it's 20 feet long, so I can carry 20-foot pieces of lumber pretty easily. I may even be longer than 20 feet. It's not easy to bring it up into the mountains, but we manage. Flesh and blood battles versus spiritual warfare. Yeah. Well, you get that in your work. I mean, you're dealing with, real critters, and yeah, I really feel like I've been able to position myself into a place where I'm able to express, I'm able to live a creative, wonderful life in the sunshine. I mean, I noticed my nose was red. The sun is so strong. It is so strong in Arizona. And but I'm at a good elevation, and this is worth noting. I'm at 4,500 feet, so we don't get brutal summers. I mean, it's hot, but it's not like it is in Phoenix or Tucson or Las Vegas, where it gets up to 122, and you feel like you're walking in an oven. Up here it gets to about 100, and the wind is always blowing, so it's not quite as bad, and it doesn't get down. Like in Prescott, they get a frost every night. Here we get a frost. At least last year, I think we got 1 or 2 nights where it went below 32. So if you're listening from Alberta, Chad, man, Chad's telling -32 up there, up in Alberta. You get bats in the house, yeah, right. It gets in Phoenix. Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, and Pegs is threatening to come. We're looking forward. Danielle really is looking forward to meeting you. So we will open up our habitation once we get a little more established. But I'm thinking this would be a great place to teach people who've never really had any carpentry experience, that it's not that hard to build a house. If you have a level, if you have a good screw gun and a chop saw, it's not you can learn pretty fast. Anyway, yes. Oh, so let me get to a little bit of the news. Yeah, it gets oven hot, right, in Phoenix. It does. Peggy is so funny. Peggy, we got to get you online, man. You have to, I want you to. Peggy is a scream riot. She makes these funny videos. And I want to get Peggy, on here, and I want her to try the LifeWave patch. I think she'll really she'll enjoy it because she's very she likes to work out. So if she tries the X49 and X39, she will, she'll probably come up here and, you know, build a house in 3 minutes. I mean, I don't know. She'll be so strong. Oops. It's rabies with bats. Yikes. Rabies. Yeah. It's plagued with prairie dogs. It's plagued with prairie dogs. Yeah, I haven't seen any prairie dogs. We the animals stay away from us. We saw a really cool beetle today. I had a nice experience with it. It was just the most beautiful color of like a deep maroon kind of back bats. That yeah, they do. We have a lot of bats up here. We have bats and owls. When we drive, we see them when we drive up here, but we don't see them that much. They're not. We don't have that many insects up here. That's probably because of all the chemtrails. But who knows? Said bats are good. Most do not have plague or bat. Yeah. You Well, listen, Richard. You're dealing with a different level of consciousness. You're dealing with you are the one who people turn to when they have a problem. We're up here. We're not looking for problems so much. And as long I don't leave any food outside, so I haven't had any problems. The biggest problem we had was when her cousin came. He left his truck open, and he had some food in his truck, and the javelina came by. The javelina are like two-dimensional pigs. Daughter has scorpions in Arizona. Yeah, we saw one scorpion, but we really we don't people say rattlesnakes. We don't really see that many snakes up here because we're at a very good elevation. I think 4,500 feet is really good. It's a little too cold at night for the snakes to really hang out here because they like to prowl around at night. If you go to Wickiup, which is not far from us, it's like the rattlesnake capital of the universe, but they're a slightly lower elevation. And I guess it's warm, maybe a little bit warmer there. But this is a very important consideration: is the elevation. I Daniela likes higher elevation, but then you get snow, then you get winter. I don't want that. It was like 75 degrees today. But that's the thing with living here. It's cold at night. It doesn't get below freezing, but it's cold. And then the sun comes out and it's like just wear high boots for snakes. Yeah, I just don't see any snakes. I mean, they just don't hang out up here. And yeah, high boots, will that really protect you? I don't know. I guess so. I guess that's a good idea. Sounds good. You're in the Magellan Rim. I'm in the Aquarius Mountains. Empty boots before wearing. Yeah, that's a good idea. Make sure there's nothing in there. That's very smart. Yeah, I mean, listen, way up here, you have to whenever I pick up a rock or anything. I actually did. I picked up a rock once and I met a gopher snake, which are not poisonous. They look like rattlesnakes, but they're not. and I jumped back like this, and the snake jumped back like that too. I'm like, sorry, Mr. Snake, I'm sorry. I didn't expect to see you under that rock, and then after that we became sort of like friends, and I know where he lives now, and I'm like, I do what I can for him, but we have a nice. We also had a gopher snake up here, and we also had a Daniela's like, look at that snake. What is it? And I'm like, it looks like a rattlesnake, but it didn't have the triangular head. And my friend, um, I can't do names tonight, but my friend down the road says it's a gopher snake. Don't worry. But yeah, a lot of it it may sound like airy fairy stuff, but a lot of it has to do with your consciousness. Because I also have a neighbor who is afraid of snakes, and he sees snakes everywhere. Everywhere he says, "There's snakes here, there's snakes there." Everywhere I walk, there's a snake waiting to bite me. We don't have that consciousness, so we don't see that. We don't, we see them, and we're just like, okay, whatever. Chainsaw chaps, what I use for snakes. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think if you think too much about it, you may draw them to you. I know it sounds weird, but anyway, yeah. Try the LifeWave patches. We really appreciate the support. We're guns blazing with this stuff now. I hope I'm not too annoying about it, but why wouldn't you? If you're waiting for the med beds, I know I have my friend. John, I love you if you're listening, but Gene Decode said it ain't happening so fast because the creepazoids, if they get a hold of beds, they're going to turn them into weapons. I mean, these people, it's like the Road Runner, right? It's like Wile E. Coyote, satanic deep state dudes. It's like, we'll get them now. We'll try this, and then we'll try that. Red and yellow kill a feller, red and black venom slack. That's interesting. We had all four kinds of poisonous snakes in Louisiana. Yeah. Well, you got the swamps there, man. No manifesting snakes. Yeah. Yeah. We don't think about it. If we see one, it's like, hey, look, there's a snake. How nice. And we've seen a lot of non poisonous snakes. Not a lot. We've seen not even 6. We've seen like 3 non poisonous snakes. I've seen 2 poisonous snakes since I've been here. One was on the side of the road, and one was in the state land. And it was during the sunshine, during the day. The snakes are just like, hey man, I'm chilling now. It's like if you meet a possum during the day, they're like, oh, you're trying to get me up, I'm napping. All right, so let me just show you this one. I thought this was a compelling piece of information. I thought that get a cat. Yeah, but then you have cats, and they say you can get parasites from cats. Have slotted eyes, not round. Yeah, interesting. I stomped a lot. Yeah, you stomped a lot of them. Yeah, if you're afraid of snakes, you'll see tree roots and jump. Right. People with TVs put flashing lights under their rigs to keep mice out. Yeah, I do that. I have flashing lights, and I have is it Irish Mist? What? Irish Spring. Irish Spring soap keeps the mice away. I have one under my hood of my Jeep because they were constantly building nests, but I put some Irish Spring under there. And the lights, yeah, the lights are good. Lopping a pile of tree branches, I killed a snake. Oops. It was my garden hose. Yeah, I've done that too. I've got a lot of pieces of garden hose. All right, let me show you this interest. This is to me an interesting piece of information. So let me share this. Okay, Trump just activated the kill list. U.S. military invades Mexico to wipe out the cartel empire. It's happening right now. A top secret presidential directive has been leaked. Trump has ordered Northcom and Special Ops Command North to launch direct military strikes inside Mexico against the Sinaloa and Kijing cartels. Drone strikes, Delta SEAL raids, bunker busters, no target is off limits. These cartels are not just narcos, they are the deep state's private mercenary army running. Fentanyl chemical warfare that murdered 100,000 plus Americans yearly under Biden, elite child trafficking, superhighways feeding DC, Hollywood, and European castles, hidden biolabs cooking the next pandemic, same network as the Ukraine labs, CIA, Mossad black sites, and offshore money laundering pipelines tied to the Clinton Foundation, Soros, Schwab, and Vatican banks. The kill list is real. Target packages were built from military satellites, cartel defectors singing in black sites, and data seized from Epstein linked servers in Luxembourg. High value targets include cartel billionaires who partied on the island and politicians on both sides of the border who took their blood money. Mexican generals got one phone call: cooperate or be marked hostile. Half already flipped. The rest are about to vanish. Gitmo's new wing is finished and waiting. Sealed indictments are being ripped open. Nighttime C-130s are landing in Texas and Arizona loaded with operators. Predator and Reaper drones are orbiting cartel palaces 24/7. Railgun prototypes and EMT weapons never shown to the public are already forward deployed. This is the hammer Q said was coming. Trump isn't playing diplomatic games. He's cutting the head off the snakes that's been poisoning America for decades. The same tunnels that moved fentanyl moved kids. The same planes that flew cocaine flew adrenochrome precursors. The same labs that cooked meth cooked gain of function viruses. All that ends now. The storm has gone kinetic, patriots. White hats are in total control. The gallows are warmed up. The cabal's southern lifeline is being severed with extreme prejudice. When the first Hellfire missile hits a cartel fortress and the live streams go dark, remember, this is only phase one. After Mexico, the targets move north straight into the swamp. Trust the plan. The Great Awakening is here. Where we go, we go all. Fight, fight, fight. The reckoning starts south of the border, and it's coming for every last one of them. HT, an anonymous account. Okay, so I think that is a stunning piece of information. That's different from the latest of the sort of things that are distracting. But yeah, Trump is awesome. But remember, for GESARA to be implemented, all evil has to be, all the fraud, all the fraudulent, all these cartels, this whole crime syndicate called the US government, called big pharma, called the media, they all have to be eradicated. And they will be. But I don't think it's next week. I don't see that. This is like serious stuff. But President Trump is not playing games. This is not politics as usual. And the rhinos are just as bad as the Democrats. It really doesn't matter. All right, so let me heard that lava as a rattlesnake barrier. Lava rock, really? The French are revolting more than usual. Yes, the French, right? The French farmers are hurling shit at the government buildings. They don't want to slide them over. Okay, let's see. So much opportunity to do good. That's absolutely right, Richard. Trust the plan. It's like Central and South America are the plumbing delivering the toxins. Yes, indeed. Sounds like things are moving forward. Yes, they are. But the expectation that I want to see something happening, when is it going to happen already? That's just that's old school. We're already in a new level of this game. And I would also say I would like to add, thank you. Check out the LifeWave products. If you have any pain, if you have chronic issues, my friend, I've been reached by people who have diabetes and all this other stuff. You got to try this stuff. And if you have a specific ailment like diabetes, call Dr. Stacy. She will tell you her experience with other people. We have a person here in our, close to us who has Crohn's disease. We gave him a sleeve of X39. Lava Rock splits the vulnerable underbelly. Interesting. I'm so imperfect that I used to be. I am I am less imperfect than I used to be. Hallelujah. Me too, man. Mark Kelly is going to be punished by the military. It's a process, right? That's really on the mark, Trinity. I totally agree. It's a process, and we are part of the process. We are the awakening, building your own house, being your own investor. Um, Getting the life wave, being your own medical doctor. And it's not just the life wave, it's your diet, it's how much water you drink, how much salt you get. Make sure you get plenty of salt. What's the salt you like now?
Redmond.
What is it called?
Redmond.
Redmond. She likes Redmond salt now. We just moved from Diamond Kosher. She doesn't like the Himalayan. We went to Diamond Kosher. Our friend Norman said Redmond is the way to go. He's my doctor now. He's a natural doctor. He has an interest in health, not that he's been brainwashed by these stupid Rockefeller educational institutions. Lewis and Clark's amazing transversal through rock and prickly pear aplenty. Yeah, we have prickly pear up here, serious, and we don't play. I don't play with them, but I do use them as mulch. I'll use old prickly pear bushes that are Redmond is the best. So you agree? Yeah. I think this is the kind of knowledge that we can share in this platform. Hi everyone. Hi Peggy. Nice to see you here. I'm wondering what you think about the Orthodox Jewish community supporting the new mayor-elect of New York. I used Redmond real so. What I think about it, I just, you know what? I want nothing to do with those people. They're out of their fucking minds. They're like they still believe in the Matrix. That's why I left the community. They're are they good people? Yeah, they're good people. They're not evil people, but they're why wouldn't you support Curtis? Curtis is the obvious choice. But listen, the elections are so corrupted in New York City that there's no way. I think that guy, man, damn it, whatever his name is, he is central casting. This is all a game. You saw President Trump had a meeting with him. They're good. People are going down. They're going to, the Insurrection Act. Who knows what's coming up? But I like what Trinity said. This is a process, not an event. We're not waiting for the EBS anymore. We're not waiting for the EBS for the med beds. I'm not. I got light technology with LifeWave. Gene Decode is saying it's going to be some time before we get the med beds because they got to clean up this place. And then when you see this thing about Mexico, they're going and they're sending in the bad boys the rough boys to take care of it. The mine late summer, which mine in Kingman? I love going into mines, by the way. The Redmond mine, a Redmond rock size of footballs out back my property for the deer. I'll bet they love that. Yeah, we have mule deer out here. Mad dummy. Yeah. I visited the mine. Okay, so it must be the Redmond salt is really good. The Jewish people, yeah. I mean, they're insane. They're insane. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no leadership in the Jewish community. Or any like Richard. I respect you for being a Christian. I think it's a high level, But look at the Vatican, man. They're all a bunch of criminals. They're criminally insane Satanists. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Um, not to, and that's not to put down Christians. It's the same with Judaism. I mean, these people are, maybe I'll have Gila on. We'll have Gila come soon, and she's just like, she's in the community, and she's just like, I said, Gila, you think they're gonna like admit that they made a mistake with the vaccine? She says, no, they're not going to. They're so up their own, you know. The Chinese people continue to show us by example what to do and what not to do. Yeah, the Chinese people are good examples. Hey, Carrie. The chosen people continue to show us by. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Redmond, Utah. Oh, it's Redmond, Utah. I was there last July. Family owned and super nice people. There's evil in everything, right? Infiltrating all things. Exactly. Ha, good one. All right, but you know, yeah, all right. So I'm not even qualified anymore to really talk about the Jewish community. I'm out. I'm not, I'm out of the every community. I'm just not, I'm not. I'll start my own community up here, but right now I just want, eventually I want to find, maybe, I'm thinking that maybe we'll have people come here to just see what it's like to live off grid, just to experiment with different building techniques, to use it, this hybrid kind of, like, what do you call that, like, a person that's, that there's a word I'm searching for, like an opportunist. Like, I'm a building opportunist. So I, people say, "Are you going to do this or this or this?" I'm like, I don't plan ahead. I'm a practical man. If I have curved lumber, I'll use curved lumber. I'm happy with it. I'm delighted, because the lumber I had, I bought for $1,500. I would have paid, if those were straight boards, I would have paid 20, 30,000 for it. I'm sure. I don't care. I'd rather, for 1,500. I'm just like, I'll take it, man. I got boards that, when I look at my lumberyard, my little lumber pile, I'm just like, wow, what do I have here? 20 foot this, 20 foot or that, and we're going to be using it all over the place. But I can probably get more if I need it. This is huge. So you should be, my opinion is to be an opportunist, and that's called divine providence, to be looking for what God sends you, or what the universe sends you. And you're just like, okay, man. So, they sent me, Daniela. I'm just like, thank you, God. I mean, I was really lonely for a very long time. And now I have a partner who's just right on the money, man. We understand each other. I'm excited about your build. Yeah, it is really God provides. Do I pine away for all the silver I lost? Do I pine away for the XRP that I've been scammed out of? Yeah, but you know what? It's just stuff. The real value is waking up in the morning with, we wake up in the morning, and before the sunshine, it's quite cold. So I like, on certain days, I wear like long underwear in the morning until the sun comes out, and then an hour after the sun comes out, I'm back in the RV, taking off my long underwear and putting on a short sleeve shirt, and then the rest of the day I'm in my short sleeve shirt, and then about 5 o'clock, in the winter, it starts getting chilly again, and we head for the RV. We finish up outside. What a beautiful life. I mean, I get to work on my own building. But that took me a long time. God had to train me to be a carpenter. Had to put me through the teaching thing, had to make me a broadcaster and all this other great stuff, man. It's just, and then to find myself out here with Daniela, we're like one. When you live with somebody off grid, you're like there's only one mind. You don't, you sometimes you disagree on like how something's going to get done, but it's basically, what do we do now? Oh, we have to do this, we have to do then we have to do this, and then we'll do this, and then it's just it all just falls into place without really a lot of emotional or intellectual. Like, we bought a planner. Like, I saw at one of these discount stores, they had like a daily planner. We used it for 2 days, and then it's just like we know exactly what to do when. We're living a real life, and I'm sure a lot of you are too. And it's just, we are the news. We are developing for. There are not a lot of us left, and we're the Jewish community. I mean, man, damn it, really? That why they do that? Because they want the money for their schools, because it's because they can't get paid, because they're also parasites. I don't know. I don't mean to criticize them, but it's just like, I don't want that world. I don't want to live off somebody else. I want to live off, I want to be able to be in touch with the divine spirit of whatever it is that we need to deal with. But the thing is, I mean, in terms of like the life wave, we don't, just like we don't even think about snakes. We do not get sick. We don't even think about it. It's not even a possibility. I'm like, get a cold. We haven't gotten a cold since we met. We're just like that. We don't do that. We don't go there. I got COVID a few times in the city. It's just like, uh, I don't need that. It's not like we live just all, completely off grid. We go to town, like at least twice a week to get to resupply and to buy things. But and we have all kinds of friends in town, but we just we don't feel, you just don't get sick. Anyway, let the creativity flow. Yeah. I mean, if I were to do a video on how to build a house, it wouldn't necessarily apply to somebody else who lives in North Dakota or Nebraska or a place where they get rain. We don't get rain here. So now that we have windows almost where we want it to be, and then we'll go and plug up all the air holes. We'll be we'll be protected somewhat from the wind, and at that point we'll take the RV out of this place and we'll build a roof structure too. But in other words, it's kind of like, what floats my boat may not be the same thing that floats your boat, and that's perfectly okay. It shouldn't be that way, because we're all different. We all have unique potentials and talents. Each new day is creator's new creation, and the best of man's plans had better be flexible. Yeah, you gotta be flexible. I saw a post, I was going to share it last night, about that you can't really deal with a person who's inflexible. It's just impossible. Revision on revision will continually be making your abode cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it. We're opportunists, and now we're getting better windows, so we're changing out some of the old ones that were like placeholders. Are now We're going to say, "Oh, you know what? I really want to put a big piece of glass there because the view is extraordinary." And it doesn't get the full sun. The southern exposure and the south and it's really an earth ship. The two front places, I may end up just putting like an earth wall up there. We may end up building there we may end up using either compressed dirt, compact dirt, or hempcrete, or Native American mixture of dirt, and then we're getting into trees. We want to plant trees, and I want to finish my garden, but we don't have the continual flow of money that we expect. that we, would make things a lot. But it's just like God told in the Old Testament. It says, "I'm not just going to give you the land because it would be too overwhelming. You'd have too much problems. You have to take it little by little." It's so too with life. You have to take what you can manage. You don't want to go too out there. If you had, let's say you had a lot of money and you had to worry about your money all day, that would be a very different kind of enterprise than if you don't have money. Then you're like like by having limitations that stimulates creativity, because you have to be smart on your feet. But if you had tons of money, then you're totally shepherding your money all the time. It's a different mindset. I'm not saying that's bad. I expect to have that at some point, but in the meantime, we're pretty happy just getting by the way we're getting by. Not eating lots of nuts also worked wonders with. Yeah, we don't really eat any nuts. I do have a bag of shelled, not shelled. I have of unshelled pecans that I sometimes, when I really need something crunchy and we can't get the popcorn going. Today, like Groundhog Day. Yeah, another day to do better and do some good. That's exactly right. You improve the Jewish people call it Seder, the order of your day. But if you have a good Seder, if you have a good structure to your life, then each day you do it a little better. You refine each segment of your day. Skin scalp problems. Yeah, well, that's what Daniela had, eczema. That's why we moved to Arizona, and it's a lot better here than it was in New York, because she feels the chemtrails. I mean, she's very sensitive that way. She also feels she feels the patches instantly. She can put on SP6 and she feels like a charge in her body. So they're very charged. Richard, you may want to check out these patches, man. They're awesome. They're really life-changing patches. You got to stick with them for a while, but if you have any pain from bending down and spritzing critters, get some of these patches. They're definitely Richard's an exterminator. And has the heart of a lion, and a golden lion. He's kind of like Brian Best that way. He would give the shirt off his back. He's just there are some really good people out there. They're all over the place. Most people are really good. So let me play. Let's play a tune. Let's play "Leaving the Matrix," and then we'll go our merry ways, and hopefully we'll meet up tomorrow.
Living in the city, I was paying down my bills. One flat tire and the whole thing went to hell. Credit cards for groceries, I'm deep in debt again. It's time to split this scene, walk with you, my friend. Leaving the Matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band. Leaving the Matrix, we're heading for the promised land. Stopped paying taxes, your insurance I don't need. The medicines are killing us. Hospitals grow like weeds. Move into paradise. I don't need no gassy cars. Fake news, endless wars, a satanic legal bar. Leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band. Leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. My friends all tell me I lost control. Left my wife and job just to run down rabbit holes. But I can tell you one thing about my fall. Where we go one, we go all. Leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band. Leaving the matrix, heading for the promised land. Leaving the matrix, we're heading for the promised land.
Yeah, and don't forget republicforusa.org. Make sure you sign up and volunteer if you want. But remember, the White Hats are waiting for a certain amount of people to sign up for in the Republic for them to go forward with GESARA. That's what Sandra said the other day. So this is, if you want to do something to really move things along, that's it. But this pie in the sky, the ERV's coming next week, and all this other nonsense, and our EBS, I don't see it. I mean, they gotta kill all these criminals, these cartel people, the illegal immigrants. Everything has to be set straight. All this slush fund, all these NGOs that were stealing our money, and all this, they have to be set to rights. All the corruption has to end before GESARA can be implemented. So anyway, yeah, later creators, but just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, this is the best time ever. Like they said, when is the best time to really make your fortune? And I'm not just talking about money, but your health, your wealth, your creative ability, your relationships. That is during the hard times, and these are hard times. We're going to look fondly back at this time and go, man, I could have, I could have done a little more. I could have, but the Republic for USA is a great way to help. The White Hats are waiting for a certain number of people to sign up, to show enthusiasm. They have this kind of like AI where they're watching to see how many people really, they watch everything and they analyze. And when we have a certain, it's like what 107 says, when there's a certain number of people, then it'll happen. But if you're waiting for a date, if you're waiting to be saved, I don't know. God bless you. I want to enjoy life now. I want to, enjoy the creative process, and building a house of my dreams in the middle of the Mojave Desert. So May force be with you. May you realize that you are force. You are Neo. You were the only one in the history of creation who can be you and create the things that you are meant to create. Right. To get back to Ishmael, that he said you could, yeah, you're right, that the house could be continual in a continual state of change. And that as we get to be better manifestors, it'll happen faster and faster. And you'll suddenly be in a different, in one day you'll be in one house and then you'll switch it to the next. It's all space force. Yeah. So may the source be with you. May you realize that you are source. You live in the moment. Good for you. So let's get out there with a big smile on our face and rock the world.